Welcome back. Earlier this week, I had a chance to interview Governor Rick Scott on his campaign bus. Here's the first part of our interview. Governor, I want to start with the issue of jobs. I want to be clear about something. When you ran 4 years ago, I looked at the debate tapes from back then, and you had said you would create 700,000 new jobs on top of the anticipated 1 million. You seem to have changed that now. Why is that?
Now, what I said was on top of what was happening at the time. Normal growth at the time was negative 832,000 jobs. You have to remember, under Charlie, the state lost 832,000 jobs, which was the second highest number of jobs in the country, and it was the second highest increase in unemployment in the country.
So are you saying that you were going to lose another 800,000 jobs and that you reversed that? So in other words, you were projecting the unemployment rate at 18%?
Let's look at what normal growth was at the time. Normal growth was unemployment was continuing to go up. Okay? The job losses were continuing, and what we did is we changed how the state was run. We cut taxes, we cut regulation, we started calling on companies, we started winning competitive projects. We get companies like Hertz to move their corporate office down here, and cancer treatment centers, and ADT, and Home Depot to stay, and things like that. Northrop Grumman to expand down here. So what we've done is create an environment where now companies have expanded, businesses have expanded, and it's exciting. We've added 651,000 jobs, and today we have 261,000 job openings, with the average income for the 25 most in demand being $27 an hour, or $55,000 a year.
Of those 650,000 jobs, how many do you personally take credit for? How many do you think was because of your initiative?
Well, I think it will create an environment, but the truth is the private sector does it. Businesses that have an idea or will take the risk, that's who does it. What's exciting is we've created an environment now where they feel comfortable coming to Florida because they know their taxes are not going to go up. Under Charlie, taxes went up $2.2 billion. They know the regulations are not going to get worse. He increased regulation. We've cut 3,000 regulations. We've streamlined the permitting process. So what they know now is they have a governor that's going to go out and try to help them build their businesses rather than attack them about their business.
What about windstorm insurance? It seemed as if under Charlie Crist, windstorm rates and insurance rates were coming down, even though they had gone through a series of very bad storms. There hasn't been a hurricane in the state in the last 8 years, and yet windstorm insurance rates have been going up. Why is that?
Well, let's look at where it was when I came in. Charlie had basically bankrupted the state. He had borrowed $9 billion, and he expanded citizens insurance to where per hurricane, if we'd had one, the average household would have had to spend $1,800 to pay for that hurricane because the way Citizens was working. What we've done now is we recruited companies to come back, start writing policies in the state, and more companies are coming in. So if you look at this last year, Citizens, as an example, 70% of the policyholders saw a reduction. We have more competition now, so the right things are happening. So it's exciting what's going on now. We have more competition, as we all know. With more competition, rates will come down.
Yet overall, the rates have gone up during your 4 years.
But let's look at where Charlie left us, and let's look what we've fixed. Charlie left us with a Citizens insurance where per hurricane, our taxpayers, all of us, would have had to pay $13 billion per hurricane. Now what's happened is we've reduced that risk. That's $1,800 a household. We've reduced that risk. We've recruited companies to come to the state now, which is exciting. And now what you're seeing is with this competition, rates are coming down.
I wanted to just go back to one of the debate questions you had the other night as it related to same-sex marriage. And you were asked the question a couple of times, and I guess I just want to be as direct as possible. Do you believe that denying same-sex couples the right to marry is discrimination? I know you're opposed to discrimination, but do you consider it discrimination?
Well, here's what I can explain to you. In our Constitution, led by Charlie Crist, there was a ballot initiative in 2008 that said that marriage would be a traditional marriage. Now, I personally believe in traditional marriage. It's being challenged now. It'll go to our Florida Supreme Court. I don't want any discriminating against. I understand people have different views. It'll go through the court system. The courts will decide what our Constitution will be.
But what is your view? Do you believe it's discrimination? Personally, do you personally believe it's discriminatory to deny 2 men or 2 women the right to marry?
I believe in traditional marriage, but I understand people have different views. But this is going through the court system, and the courts will ultimately decide.
One of the earliest bills you signed, and you don't get asked about it very much, is the ultrasound bill that you signed into law, requiring a woman to undergo an invasive ultrasound before getting an abortion. Do you regret that decision? And walk me through just briefly why you believe it's the state's role to do that to a woman, to have a woman undergo that procedure.
I'm pro-life, allowing the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe in the sanctity of life. I love my children, my grandchildren, but I believe in the sanctity of life.
But to undergo a medical procedure, you're forcing them. So this isn't about, this is about what? Punishing the woman?
I am pro-life. Now, let's talk about Charlie. Charlie's been pro-life, pro-choice. He's multiple choice. Whatever you'd like him to say, he'll say for you.
Competence is a big issue. I know that you sort of hit on, you talk about taking responsibility when you were at HCA. There have been a number of serious problems at the state during your time here. Department of Corrections has seen a number of inmate deaths. Your Inspector General at one point, I think, denied the rights of 4 whistleblowers, the whistleblower protection. Do you stand by what your Department of Corrections has done and all the inmate deaths that you've seen?
Here's what they've done. They have Secretary Cruz. He said we're going to have more transparency. He said he went and did more training. So in the Miami-Dade facility, the warden and the assistant warden are gone. There's absolutely, I believe in accountability, and that's what we've added to government. Think about what it was like when I came in, all right? The agencies were not being run as well. Agencies were over budget. As an example, the agency for person with disabilities, I walked in on top of Charlie leaving me with a $3.6 billion budget deficit, borrowing every dime he could. That agency was $175 million over budget for that year because he didn't run the agencies. We've balanced that budget. We now have, and he cut that budget.
Are you horrified, though, by the deaths that you see?
Oh, I hate anything. Look, I want every prisoner, every correction worker to be safe. And that's why what the Department of Corrections is doing, they did additional training. Those 2 wardens, the warden and assistant warden, are gone. There's accountability there because I expect accountability, I expect transparency, and that's what we're doing.
The Miami Herald has written a lot about the Department of Children and Families, and particularly how your administration has tried to hide the actual number of child deaths. I mean, you talk about transparency, yet your own secretaries in the past have tried to find ways to manipulate the numbers so that it doesn't seem as bad as it was.
Let's look at the facts. All right, deaths are down since I got elected. All right, deaths were higher when Charlie was there. What have we done? One, with Child Protective Investigators, our first year, we gave them a $3,000 pay raise. Charlie cut the money for Child Protective Investigators. We brought in a third party to do a review, the Casey Foundation. We've now, this last year, added 270 more Child Protective Investigators. I don't want one child death. It's a tragedy. Any death's a tragedy.
They say, though, that child deaths are down.
Let me just
Sure.
I don't want one death there. That's why we're adding more Child Protective Investigators. We've added more accountability. We brought in a third party to review what we're doing. But child deaths are down. Child
deaths are down, they say, because you've reclassified certain deaths to take them away from the abuse category.
Child deaths are down. If you look at any way you want to calculate it, child deaths are down. I mean, we're the agency. We got them pay raises. We've had more Child Protective Investigators. Every death is a tragedy.